Sometimes a portrait can tell a story better than 1,000 words. And few understood that better than Arnold Newman. He wasn't just taking pictures, he was showing us who people really were. Arnold Newman was a trailblazer in photography, best known for something called environmental portraiture. It's a fancy term, but really, it means he didn't just stick people in front of a plain backdrop. Instead, he placed them in spaces that meant something. Rooms, objects, surroundings that gave you little hints about their lives, their passions, their work. He wasn't just capturing faces, he was capturing stories. One of his most iconic portraits shows composer Igor Stravinsky sitting at a grand piano. The open lid curves above him like a giant musical note. It's simple but powerful, a moment where portrait and symbolism come together to say so much more than just this is what he looks like. Newman photographed some of the most important figures of the 20th century. People like Picasso, Marilyn Monroe, John F. Kennedy, and Alfred Krupp, among others. He often used a large format camera, and he paid close attention to lighting and detail. His photos were sharp and beautifully composed, but what really made them stand out was how personal they felt. Like he wasn't just photographing a person, but their soul. His work was featured in big magazines, Life, Fortune, Newsweek, Harper's Bazaar. And today, you'll find his portraits hanging in some of the most important museums around the world. Arnold Newman was born on March 3, 1918, in Manhattan, into a Jewish family. He spent his early years in Atlantic City, New Jersey, and later moved with his family to Miami Beach, Florida. His parents ran hotels in both places, so they'd spend their winters under the Florida sun and their summers back up north in New Jersey. He went to high school in Atlantic City, then finished at Miami Beach Senior High. In 1936, he started studying painting and drawing at the University of Miami, but after 2 years, money got tight and he couldn't afford to continue. So in 1938, he packed up and moved to Philadelphia, where he began working in a photo studio, making 49-cent portraits. A few years later, in 1942, he returned to Florida to manage a portrait studio in West Palm Beach, and by 1945, he had opened his own place in Miami Beach. Then, in 1946, Arnold made the big move to New York City. That's where he opened Arnold Newman Studios and began freelancing for major magazines like Fortune, Life, and Newsweek. Over time, he photographed some of the biggest names around: Marlene Dietrich, Pete Mondrian, Arthur Miller, Salvador Dali, Andy Warhol, even General Dwight D. Eisenhower. If this is making sense and you're finding it helpful, hit that subscribe button. It really helps the channel. Thanks for being here. But for Newman, fame was never the point. He believed that even if the person in the photo wasn't well known or had already been forgotten, the image still had to grab you, still had to make you feel something. Newman is often seen as the photographer who truly shaped what we now call environmental portraiture. Instead of shooting someone against a blank backdrop, he would carefully compose each image within their own space, using their surroundings to tell their story, to give us a glimpse into who they were and what they did. While many of his most iconic photos were in black and white, Newman also worked in color. One of his most powerful color portraits was taken in 1963, showing former Nazi industrialist Alfred Krupp inside one of his own factories. Newman later admitted that his own personal feelings influenced the way he chose to portray him. He also taught photography at Cooper Union for many years, sharing his knowledge and approach with new generations of artists. In December of 2005, he made what would be his final formal portrait, this time of director James Burrows, on the set of Saturday Night Live. Arnold Newman passed away on June 6, 2006, while recovering from a stroke at Mount Sinai Medical Center in New York City. There's something powerful about someone who shows up every day, not for fame, not for fortune, but because they simply have to. That was the heart of his journey. He believed talent was a gift, maybe from the universe, maybe in your genes. But without hard work, that gift meant nothing. And for those who worked hard without the gift, the result was the same: no progress. So you showed up, you worked, you kept learning, because anything worth doing asks for everything you've got. Photography, for him, wasn't about the camera. It wasn't about gear or trends or shortcuts. It was about seeing, feeling, understanding. You take pictures, he said, with your mind and your heart. And if you're not bringing those with you, then what are you really capturing? He didn't chase success for its own sake. He questioned those who entered photography only to become rich or famous. To him, if you'd rather sell shoes just for the money, maybe that's what you should be doing. Because real art comes from love, from not being able to not do it, from obsession, from passion. It's waking up and needing to create like you need to breathe. What made his portraits different wasn't just the composition, it was the connection. He wanted to say something about the people he photographed, not just show their faces. He stepped into their world, their studios, labs, offices, and let the background tell part of the story. He believed a great portrait could hint at a life, a mind, a calling. And sometimes, even in the absence of surroundings, like in his unforgettable photograph of Picasso, the essence of a person could still come through, clear and bold. Behind the camera, he found his strength. Even if he felt awkward in a crowd, that lens gave him purpose. It gave him courage. It made him pay attention to how people stood, how they moved their hands, what their eyes were saying. He joked, gently, teased to ease the tension, but always with a smile, because building trust was part of the work. He learned early that photography was more than technique. It was about knowing the world, really knowing it, reading the newspaper cover to cover, understanding history, people, ideas. That's what made you a better photographer and a better human being. And yet, beyond the pictures, beyond the legacy of iconic portraits that changed the way we see the great minds of the 20th century, there was something more important to him: his family. 52 years married, 2 sons he was proud of. He said nothing he ever photographed mattered more than them. Being there, being present, that was the real success. He never aimed to be famous. He simply wanted people to enjoy the images as much as he enjoyed making them. And maybe, deep down, he hoped they wouldn't be forgotten, not because he feared being overlooked, but because he believed the work mattered. Because the lives he captured deserved to be remembered. And so, his legacy isn't just about the photographs. It's about integrity, about doing the work, about loving what you do so deeply that you keep doing it, even after decades, because it still brings you joy, because it still makes you feel something. That's what he left behind, a way of seeing, a way of living, and a reminder for all of us to show up, to care, and to never stop creating from the heart.